Today, we're looking at the 2023 Toyota Crown, which Toyota just revived after a 30-some year hiatus. From afar, it looks like a sporty sedan, but up close, the body is closer to a crossover in size, shape, and ground clearance. Basically, the new Crown is a lifted sedan, and people are calling it an SUV sedan blend of sorts. So, is it a crossover, or is it a sedan? I'll tell you how it compares with the Toyota Venza mid-size crossover versus the Avalon versus the Camry. And stick around to the end because I'll bust some myths about the reliability of hybrid vehicles compared to traditional gas-powered cars. The Toyota Crown was the first passenger car to be delivered and built entirely in Japan. Some say this was the car that inspired the entire Japanese car industry. You see, after World War II ended, the Japanese car industry had to reconstruct itself, basically from the ground up. Compared to the West, it had fallen far behind, and Japan wanted to catch up quickly. To do this, some Japanese manufacturers entered into agreements to produce foreign licensed designs, like Isuzu, which formed an alliance with Hillman. Nissan did the same thing with Austin in England, and Hino did the same with Renault. Toyota, on the other hand, didn't want to join forces with its competitors. Instead, it decided to develop its own cars, using technologies that it developed in-house to stand out from its competitors. On January 1st, 1955, the first Toyota Crown rolled off the production line at the Koromo plant. At the time, it was called the Toyopet Crown. Actually, its curved shape and rear-hinged rear doors remind me of Toyota's first car, the Toyota AA. If you lifted the hood of the original Crown, you'd find a 1.5-liter 48 brake horsepower R-Series engine and a 3-speed manual transmission linked to a column shift mechanism. Both the brakes and clutch were operated hydraulically. Step inside the car and you'd find front and rear bench seats that could fit 6 passengers comfortably. This car also featured a newly designed suspension setup that incorporated independent double wishbones, coil springs, and rear adopting 3 semi-oval leaf springs. Because of its durability and ride comfort, the first Toyota Crown was a huge hit with rich consumers, big companies, taxi firms, and even government agencies. When the Crown Deluxe was added in 1955, the hype only increased. In 1957, Toyota decided to enter the Crown into the 10,000-mile Round Australia Rally. That made it the first ever Japanese-built car to enter the long-distance race. Believe it or not, it placed third among its fellow foreign entries. In 1958, the Crown made it across the pond to the United States, making it the first Japanese car ever to be sold in America. But it was a flop. Reason was it cost $1,999, which was too much for a compact car back then. Plus, the car was heavy for its size, and its engine lacked the power needed to drive on American highways. Consider, too, that you couldn't take it to the drive-thru because the trays pressed against the steering wheel and set off the horn. So you can imagine what a big deal that was. In fact, things got so bad, Toyota pulled the plug on the Crown in 1960, at least in America. Toyota then fitted the Crown with a 1.9-liter 3R engine in October 1960 for improved high-speed touring. In 1962, it re-emerged in the States as a sedan and wagon. So now it looked more like a full-size car with compact car efficiency. Toyota also made the Crown 8, which was the first Japanese car to boast a 2.6-liter V8. Now that's a small V8. In the 1970s, Toyota was more daring with the 4th-generation Crown. People called it the Blue Whale, but gas prices were rising, and the Crown didn't sell well. So the Blue Whale disappeared from American shores in 1972, and Toyota replaced it with the Corona Mark II. Fast forward 31 years, Toyota revived the Crown nameplate in America when it brought the 16th generation back to our shore. That's how we got the 2023 Toyota Crown. The obvious big question is, why did Toyota revive the Crown? Well, here's the thing. You can bet Toyota's taken notice of the full-size sedan market shrinking these last few years. The reason is crossovers have been ever more popular, and that led Toyota to think, why not just inject some SUV into our full-size sedan? And that's where the Crown comes in. Well, believe it or not, it's here to replace the Toyota Avalon. Now, the Avalon is the larger of the two and it's a traditional full-size sedan. The Crown, on the other hand, is pretty much a lifted sedan. That's why some people are calling it an SUV sedan or a crossover sedan. But there's a catch. The ground clearance of the latest Crown is more or less similar to the latest Toyota Camry. It's around 6 inches shorter than a CR-V. It's 3 inches taller than the Honda Accord. The Crown leans towards a crossover in areas like its standard all-wheel drive and its higher seating position. The high seating position and 3-box styling means the Crown falls into the same niche category as the other two vehicles, the Subaru Outback SUS and the Volvo S60 Cross Country. See, the idea of an SUV-like sedan is nothing new. It's been done before. Back in the late 1990s, Subaru released the Outback SUS. The letters SUS stood for Sport Utility Sedan, and it was actually produced by Subaru for several generations. The thing is, these generations were not very big sellers, especially when you compare them with the sales of the traditional Outback station wagon. The Volvo S60 Cross Country also fell into this category. It was an almost off-roading version of the S60 sedan, but just like the Outback SUS, it wasn't very successful in terms of sales. That's why some car experts are on the fence with the latest Crown. It's too early to know if the 2023 Toyota Crown will break the cycle and prove to be a winner, or will it stand in the land of mediocrity like the other SUV-like sedans. While Toyota may have thought it was a great idea to create the so-called crossover sedan, other critics ask why consumers wouldn't just go for a regular Toyota crossover instead. Take the Toyota Venza, for example. That's a fair question. The Venza seats the same number of passengers, which is 5, but on top of that, it's more than $5,000 cheaper, and it's an official crossover as opposed to semi-crossover or crossover wannabe. By the way, I'll talk more about this again in a bit, but first, let me tell you the key advantages that the Crown has over the Venza. First of all, the Crown offers better performance. Both the 2023 Crown and the Venza come exclusively with hybrid powertrains, but the Crown offers 2 hybrid powertrain options. The more powerful option is the Hybrid Max setup that's similar to the new Toyota Tundra iForce Max, but in a lighter vehicle. Simply put, it's more powerful than the Venza. I'm talking a turbocharged 2.4-liter 4-cylinder with an electric motor in the rear axle that delivers up to 340 horsepower. It also has more torque, so you get faster acceleration. The Crown offers overall better driving dynamics, including cornering, than the Venza does. The Venza, on the other hand, offers just one powertrain option. Mechanically, the Venza is practically identical with the RAV4 hybrid. We're talking a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine with 3 electric motors coupled with CVT automatic transmission. It's somewhat similar to the base-level Crown. By that, I mean the Crown XLE trim, except that the Venza outputs less horsepower. The Crown also offers better fuel economy. The base model, for example, gives you 41 combined city highway compared to the Venza's 39 miles per gallon. Speaking of hybrids, there are some mixed opinions about it. But I'll tell you now, if you're worried about hybrids, there's really nothing to worry about in the short run. Believe it or not, a recent study found that the latest generation of hybrid vehicles is actually even more reliable than traditional gas-powered ones. In another analyst report, mild hybrid passenger cars rank first for predicted reliability. That said, plug-in hybrids fell a little behind the pack, at least for now. A key advantage with hybrid vehicles is that you can worry about the engine wear far less than you would with a traditional car. A hybrid vehicle has a traditional internal combustion engine and at least one electric motor. The electric motor typically outlasts the rest of the vehicle since it has few moving parts. But more than that, it can help extend the lifespan of the gasoline engine. Reason is, when you press down on the accelerator pedal in a stationary hybrid vehicle, the electric motor is what gets it rolling by outputting maximum torque from 0 RPM. This gives the engine time to start up and reach optimum RPM before it takes over at higher speeds. This reduces the wear and tear in the engine. Now, don't get me wrong, yes, researchers and analysts say that hybrids are more reliable than traditional gas-powered vehicles. But that doesn't mean hybrids are perfect. Far from it. One of the biggest problems is that hybrids cost more to build than traditional gas-powered vehicles. Another problem has to do with hybrids' high-voltage traction batteries that they require to store the energy the electric motor captures through regenerative braking. The problem with the battery is that it wears out over time, making the hybrid vehicle slowly become less efficient. By the time you need to replace the battery, you're looking at battery replacement costs in the thousands of dollars. But there is some good news. The traction batteries in many hybrids can last 100,000 or even 150,000 miles. But let's return to the topic about crossover versus sedan. Which one is better? Basically, a crossover combines elements of an SUV and a sedan. It usually offers more interior space than a sedan. Another advantage is 4-wheel and all-wheel drive. More crossovers are available with all-wheel drive systems compared to sedans. Crossovers are categorically better than sedans when it comes to off-roading. And last but not least, there's seating position. Compared to sedans, crossovers typically offer much higher seating positions, which means you can see the road a lot better and further down. But at the end of the day, sedans are the better option if you're a practical person. First of all, sedans typically offer better fuel economy than crossovers. Also, sedans typically offer more headroom than crossovers. If you're on the taller side, you probably already know that. Sedans are also more fun to drive because they have lower ride heights, less weight, and tighter suspension. And lastly, sedans offer more visibility advantage, specifically when you're trying to park. Simply put, it's a much easier job to park a sedan than a crossover. Of course, with modern technology, many newer cars come with a parking camera system, so this aspect is nominal. But if that system were ever to go out, well, you'd be left with your manual eyes. All of this to say, sedans are generally a more practical option than crossovers. Now, the Toyota Crown is technically classified as a sedan. Basically, Toyota is offering you a vehicle that looks like a crossover in terms of styling and ride height, but which has the advantages of a sedan. So if you're having a hard time choosing between a crossover and a sedan, I say check out the Crown. It's filling this gray, ambiguous Goldilocks zone between sedan sleekness and crossover stature that might be just right for you. Interior-wise, it resembles the topmost trim Toyota Camry, but with a few more enhancements. You also get a few high-tech luxuries like 12.3-inch digital infotainment cluster, plus a heads-up display, or HUD system. Basically, you can see the driving speed, navigation instructions, and safety alerts projected on the windshield, so you can keep your eyes on the road at all times and don't have to look down. Oh, and it has a fixed panoramic moonroof that comes standard in the limited and platinum trims. But now, you tell me, what do you think of the new Toyota Crown? And do you trust hybrid vehicles? Please share by commenting below. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for your support.